Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Mandy the Handmade Homeschooler, and today I have another book stack for you. These are all the books that I read in February. Now, things were really busy in February, so my reading was a lot slower than normal, I want to say. I didn't read nearly as much, but I think I know why. I think I have figured this whole thing out. And I got some new book stuff because my birthday was in February and I got new things from my family. So I have to show you because I'm actually using it. So my first thing I got is my mom sent me this Anne of Green Gables mug. Isn't this so cute? And yes, there's actually coffee in it, so I'm trying to be like really careful right now. But it's actually from the family of the author over in Canada. So I thought this was just really cool. I have three paperback books and I have a Kindle book. This is the other thing I got. My mom got me a Kindle carrying case because I have been really worried about my Kindle face getting scratched. So she got me a new Kindle case. Isn't this so pretty? It's from an Etsy shop. So I started reading this book right after my birthday. So it was the very beginning of February. I want to say I wanted to like it. I had heard so many good things about this book. Sci-fi is not my normal genre that I go to. You guys know I like historical fiction. So this was a little bit out of my norm. However, I'm not a stranger to reading out of my norm either. So, you know, I know that wasn't the case. I know that's not why I didn't like it, but I'm gonna show it to you anyway because I did read it and I at least want to give it credit because I read it. I hope I say his name right. Andy Weir, and this was the Hail Mary Project. So, science fiction book. I had heard about some of my favorite authors actually talking about this book, and that's usually what sells me on a book is if I hear authors talking about it, especially if that author has no connection to the other author and they're just like recommending a book. However, I just didn't like this one. Honestly, it bothered me. I feel like if this had been a little bit cleaner, my youngest child, who is like a science nerd, would have loved it. But despite a lot of people saying, oh, this is one of his clean books, this was, I don't know what scale they're using to measure the word clean, but this was not a clean book. And you can tell by how terribly I marked up a page thinking that, oh, if I just like take out this one page, my kid can read it. I was so wrong on that. So here's one page that I totally defaced because of the inappropriate talk on this page, thinking that like, you get so far into a book thinking that it's clean, right? And then you're hit with like one page of just nonsense. So I was like, well, if it wasn't for this one page, so I took my whiteout pen and I just started whiting out a lot of the bigger curse words and the things that were highly inappropriate in this book. And I thought that would be enough. But then like I just kept running into problems and I couldn't give it to my kid. So I actually went to the page for this book online hoping that I could find like a targeted age for this book, and I don't see one. So I'm going to guess that this is for adults. However, I have heard of many teenagers reading this book. I don't think this is a book for teenagers. There is talk of death by their own hand. I don't know if I can say that word without getting flagged. So at the very beginning of this book, we are met with this guy. His name is Ryland Grace, and he wakes up on a spaceship all alone. His crewmates are dead, and he has no memory at all. And he gets his memory back in bits and pieces throughout this book, and you at the beginning of the book, so I'm not giving any major spoilers, the Hail Mary project is this mission that he is on to save the earth. And along the way, he finds aliens and, you know, like the storyline was actually really cool. He could have made this so much better. But I do have a few content warnings. So, and I've mentioned this that in other books before, the inappropriate pages, which I'm going to try to not describe in detail because there are a lot of moms on here who watch videos with their kids within earshot. The inappropriate pages, they were so very few in this book. However, the one page especially that it was on was so bizarre. It felt like the book was complete without it, and then the author went back, or somebody else went back and added in this dialogue that did not seem to fit. And I know I'm not the only one who feels that way because I read it on Goodreads too. Somebody else was like, this is really bizarre. It doesn't seem like the same writing style even. It just felt very out of place and unnecessary. It really was unnecessary to the entire story. Like, they could have left all of that out and they didn't. So no, I don't recommend this even for your teens. It was really inappropriate and silly. Completely unnecessary. I ended up giving this a 3 out of 5. All right, so after that book, Valentine's Day was coming up, and so was my anniversary. So I picked up the brand new book from Jamie Ogle, which is called Of Love and Treason, and this is about the actual person of Saint Valentine with some creative license. I don't think I was prepared for this book. I don't think I was. This one, because I'm going to try not to spoil the ending, because anybody who read this book, go on my Goodreads and let's just chat about it because I feel like I need therapy. So we have our main character, Iris, here. She's blind and she ends up meeting Valentine, who's called Valens in the book, and through Jesus, heals her and gives her her sight back, and she becomes part of his like underground church. You're in ancient Rome. The gladiator games are still going on. You know, there's martyrdom talked about in here. So we're in year 270 at this point, so we're pretty fresh with the early church here, and there is a lot. This book was a little bit heavy. I was expecting a little bit lighter, like this cute little historical romance, and that's not what this was. That's not what this was. But I highly recommend it. Highly, highly recommend it. Mature teen, definitely, and up. There is one scene where there is almost an assault on Iris by another man, but it is interrupted before anything happens. Wanted to mention that. This was like a 5 out of 5 for me. And I have several favorite books this month. This one topped that list, but like I finished it the day before our anniversary, which is a day before Valentine's Day, and so I just remember like part of me was still in a daze after finishing that book, like on our anniversary, and I remember like having to just like spill my guts to my husband about it over dinner because I just needed to talk to somebody about this book. Poor guy. He listens to all my book problems. So this one was a good one. This was my first one by this author. So good. Highly recommend it. Moms, go pick up this book. You want this one. So after I read that book, I needed something a little bit lighter. I needed something to calm my heart down a little bit. And I picked up The Sisters of Seaview. I got this one for my birthday. If you saw my other video about my book stack that I got for my birthday, this book was in there. This was like, I think I said on Goodreads, this was just like, if a cup of tea could give you a hug, that's what this book is. That makes no sense, I know. But like, it was like a warm cup of tea and a fuzzy blanket and a roaring fire and a rainy day. That's what this was. It was just so soothing. I loved this book so very much. This is a long book, like this is a big book. Which I liked. This is 425 pages, and it's actually like a larger book. So Like in comparison, I mean, it is actually like a larger book in like actual physical size. So I feel like if this was even smaller, like average paperback size, we probably have like 550, like at least 550 pages, but, and the print is small. So this is a pretty long book. So Little Women is one of my favorite books, and this reminded me so much of Little Women. You know, you've still got kind of the same Victorian time period, but at the same time, you also have, you know, the four sisters. This one is just a different location. These are, you know, these girls are by the sea, and this one, they're older. So I actually like that because, you know, I'm almost 40, so I like reading books about, you know, women closer to my age rather than just their moms being my age. You know, in Little Women, I feel like, you know, I'm more of Marmie's age than the girls. So this was nicer. You know, you had a little bit older characters here. And basically in this book, the four sisters, their father dies, and then their mother is also almost bedridden, and they are living by the sea, hoping that that maybe helps her mother or their mother get better, because there are benefits to the sea air and the water. And there's a lot of literature sprinkled throughout about the benefits of the sea that they believed back then. So they used the sea as like medicinal practices, and to basically live so they didn't become destitute, they opened up their home as like a boarding house, or what they call a guest house. So this is about all of the people who come and visit them, and about the girls, and, you know, just basically like what they go through to turn their home into this guest house, and how they're trying to get on their feet. This was such a good book. There was all kinds of stories interwoven throughout this novel, and you are kind of left like wanting more, and everything kind of just wraps up with a big red bow at the end, other than a few loose ends, so we can get into the next book. So this is a series. I was so happy that this was a series. So I have started the second book, but it is the 29th today, so I did want to go ahead and record this video. I am on page 89 right now, and there are almost 450 pages to this one. And I got the email from Julie Klassen that said that she's getting ready to release the cover for book 3. Part of me was like, I shouldn't start this series because I need to wait until all the books are out. I'm the same way with like K-dramas and television shows. Like, I have to wait until all the episodes come out because I am a spoiled brat and I don't like waiting. I'm very impatient. I don't like waiting a year for a book, but I just couldn't help myself, and I don't know if I'm going to highly regret starting book 2 or not, but I did. So that's where I'm at right now. And I did read one more book that I'm going to show you. I didn't read nearly as much because getting through this book took a long time. This one took me forever to get through. I felt like it was like plodding, but at the same time, it's not because I'm not a fast reader. It's because I loved it so much. I was taking my time with this book and I was enjoying it rather than trying to speed through it. I just found myself just really slowing down and enjoying each and every page. My one Kindle book for this month, which is crazy because I read like 15 Kindle books last month. And that's the other thing, is my Kindle, I read a lot faster too because it's a device. So I have to like force myself to slow down. But this one, I could not force myself to slow down because it was so good. I just loved it so much. This is my second book by this author. I wasn't like a huge fan of her first one, but oh my goodness, this one I was just like over the moon for. This is called A Life Once Dreamed. Sorry about that glare. This is my Kindle Paperwhite, and this one is by Rachel Fordham. And I believe, and when I read the beginning of it, this was like the first book that she wrote, but not the first one that was published. This one is exquisite. Okay, so if you are a fan of When Calls the Heart and Anne of Green Gables, like I am, you want this book. because this is like Gilbert Blythe meets Elizabeth from When Calls the Heart. And it's like this beautiful, beautiful story. I loved it. I loved it so much. I started this book one morning and I finished it the following evening because every free second I had, my Kindle was in my hand and I was like, at one point I think I was like in the kitchen, like stirring in a pot, like reading like this. And my husband was just like, oh my goodness. It was so good. It was so good. So I'm going to try to show you the cover here. See if it'll focus without the glare. I went through a phase where I was just burning through World War II novels, and now I'm kind of going into 1800s. Now I'm kind of flipping back and forth. Loved this one. Oh, I just loved it so very much. So honestly, I can't choose my favorite novel of the month between Sisters of Seaview, A Life Once Dreamed, and Of Love and Treason. They were all so good, and I gave all 3 of those 5 stars. It's not every day or every month where I read 3 back-to-back 5-star books. All right, that's my book stack for February. I can't believe we're heading into March. That is unbelievable that we are this far into 2024 already. I will see you guys in the next video. I hope you have a great rest of your day and happy homeschooling.